Far Cry has earned its way into being one of the contemporary greats when it comes to first-person shooters. And one of the things that makes Far Cry great is the fact that it offers you so many different guns. However, I think I have the winning formulas for both Far Cry 3 and 4 in terms of what guns you should carry. So, with no further delay, this is Pliskin Boy presenting you with How to Far Cry. Now, before we start talking specifics, let me give you the basic rundown for what your 4 slots should contain. First, you're going to want your Jack-of-all-trades mid-range weapon. Secondly, you must have a shotgun. It is essential for both Far Cry 3 and 4. The wildlife in these games are overpowered and you need something for when they charge at you. Then you need some sort of close-range stealth weapon. And finally, you need a long-range stealth weapon. Now, you need a mid-range jack-of-all-trades gun because you're going to get into situations that you're not prepared for. You need something for when your shotgun, sniper, or close-range stealth weapon runs out of ammo. That being said, I'd recommend a suppressed assault rifle or SMG. A lot of people lean towards the assault rifles because they tend to have a lot more ammo that you can pick up throughout the map. However, either one works well enough as long as you just control your shots. Now, a favorite for me, well, favorites, would be the MP5, the BZ-19, and the FAMAS. Although a lot of people also choose stuff like the Bushman or the MS-16 with a suppressor. Whatever you really like, something that can work almost like a sniper, almost like a pistol, a true jack of all trades for those situations with enemies where you're just completely bombarded and you need something that you can rely on no matter what. Also, the best thing about the jack of all trades guns is that they can double as a close range stealth weapon, freeing up a slot for a wild card such as explosives or whatever you want to throw in there. The jack of all trades gun gives you that option. Transitioning now into the non-negotiables, you need a long-range stealth weapon. You need a high-powered suppressed sniper in Far Cry 3 and 4. Enemies are tough, on higher difficulties you can get chewed down. This is your outpost clear. Without getting killed, without getting alerts. You want pure stealth? You use this. You minimize the risk of being seen and shot completely. You need to take down heavies? You use this. In campaigns, when you're pinned down by enemies from far away, you use this. Sometimes when the heavier wildlife is charging at you or you want to hunt them from far away, you use this. The sniper is so versatile and so necessary for hunting, for the campaign, for combat, and most importantly, for stealth. No matter what you have in your arsenal, you need to be carrying a high-powered suppressed rifle with you at all times. Now, for any of you that watch my channel, you know I prefer the Z93, but the SA50 is also a very valid choice. You know how it absolutely sucks when you're trying to sneak up on an outpost and you get mauled to death by a wild animal? Well, I sure know, and that's why I always carry a shotgun with me when I'm playing Far Cry. Not only is it fantastic for when you get caught and stealth is no longer an option, but you really need it. If you're walking around in the open world, an animal is going to attack you. And yeah, high-powered rifles might chew through them, but it's better to have something that you can just spray from the hip and wipe them out. So, it's great for combat, it's necessary for traveling in the open world, and it gets you a lot of pelts, so you should always carry one on you. Now, you guys know I always employ the Spaz 12. I feel statistically it is the best choice, because the semi-automatic rate of fire allows you to use this thing not just for animals that are charging you, but you can also use it as a quasi-semi-automatic rifle in combat encounters. And not only that, it chews through heavies. The only real contender to the Spaz is the D12 just because you can carry it as a sidearm, freeing up a spot for a wild card if you'd like in Far Cry 4. And it's also incredibly powerful, which makes up for the slow reload time. So the Spaz or the D12 if you're playing Far Cry 4. Now, I mentioned before that your mid-range jack-of-all-trades could easily serve as your close-range stealth weapon. But just in case you don't want it to be a stealth weapon or want to use something with a higher fire rate, more power, or an explosive one, then you'd have to relegate it to your pistol category. In Far Cry 3 you can get away with this because the Shadow is one of the best pistols in Far Cry hands down and one of the best stealth weapons. However, in Far Cry 4 pistols really suck. So if you're going to use a close range stealth weapon, it has to be an SMG. But if you're really adamant on relegating this role to a sidearm, it would have to be the Tech 9 in Far Cry 4. that gives you the best balance. It's a quasi-SMG handgun. But I say again, in Far Cry 4, you're better off having your close-range stealth weapon also be your mid-range weapon, jack of all trades. It's always going to be more reliable than any of the handgun variants. This brings us to our wild cards. In Far Cry 4, your handgun slot is best suited with either the D12 or the M79 because there's a much higher emphasis on vehicular combat in Far Cry 4. So an explosive is kind of necessary. But again, if you're going to carry an explosive in Far Cry 4, you're better off just having your sidearm slot, have the D12, so you have your mandatory shotgun set, and then just take the Carl Gustav, because this thing shreds through vehicles, especially with its motion tracking capabilities. But that's specifically for Far Cry 4. So all this being said, let's go over the winning classes for Far Cry 3 and then Far Cry 4. For Far Cry 3, you're going to want the Shadow as your secondary and close-range stealth weapon, the FAMAS as your jack of all trades because of that nice scope, the suppression. You can also use it as a close-range stealth weapon. It's just the best all-round gun. The Spaz 12 is going to be your reliable shotgun for wildlife and then heavy combat encounters, and then the Z93 is going to be your outpost breaker, and then it's also going to be your long-range stealth weapon. For Far Cry 4, you're going to have the D12 as your reliable shotgun. Keep it in a handgun slot in case you want to take a heavier explosive weapon. Next, you're going to have the M79. Keep this in a handgun slot in case you want to carry the Spaz 12 over the D12, but just make sure you have an explosive because there will be heavies and vehicles heading your way the majority of the time. The MS-16 should take place over the FAMAS as your close-range stealth weapon, just because in this game it packs more of a punch, and in Far Cry 4, the enemies tend to be a lot more tankier than in Far Cry 3. And lastly, the SA-50 will take the place of the Z93 in Far Cry 4, just because the semi-automatic nature makes it more viable against the vehicles that are going to be coming at you. But it's still primarily going to be your long-range stealth weapon. Alright guys, that's been Pliskin on how to Far Cry. What do you think? Do you disagree with the loadouts that I set below? Leave a comment telling me why I'm wrong, or if you agree with me, just leave a like. Anyways, this is Pliskin, making a lot more of these videos now that I'm stuck in quarantine. I hope you guys are staying safe and staying healthy. Over and out.